Hello. As we received lots and lots of requests that the video to be in English or to have subtitles in English, we have decided to make this video in English. And we'll start with a great comparison between two great gaming laptops. On the left side, we have Asus ROG Strix G17, which has a Ryzen 9 processor and a core, a GeForce 3060 as video card. And on the right side, we have Asus ROG Zephyrus M16, which has Intel Core 12700H processor, which is a Intel processor from 2022, and also the same video card GeForce 3060. We'll focus on the performance difference between Ryzen 9 with GeForce 3060 and Intel Core i7 12700H with GeForce 3060. Basically, we want to know the difference between these two configurations and help you decide to choose a better laptop for your needs. The comparison, as always, will be divided in three main sections. First will be the display, second will be performance, and the third one will be the sound. We'll not include battery life on this test because, as we all know, battery life is not so great on the gaming laptops. Let's talk a little bit about the displays. Both displays have IPS technology and both have the same resolution, which is 2560 per 1440. On the left side, on the Asus ROG Strix G17, we have the maximum brightness of 300 nits, and on the right side, on Asus ROG Zephyrus M16, the maximum brightness is 500 nits. In order to test the display, we'll run the same video on both laptops. We can conclude that both laptops have great displays. Despite having difference in brightness between them, both displays look very sharp, and I have to say that the display on the Asus ROG Zephyrus M16 looks a little bit sharper than the display on the Asus ROG Strix G17. Other than that, both displays are looking great. Next test will be performance testing, and we're running Geekbench 5 on both laptops. And we'll select CPU benchmark on both laptops. And we have the results. We have 1547 for Ryzen 9 CPU versus 1669 for Intel Core i7 12th generation. This means an increase in performance with approximate 10% in favor of Core i7. And on the multi-core, we have 9926 on Ryzen 9 CPU versus 11998 on Core i7 CPU, which means an increase of performance with approximate 20% in favor of Core i7 12th generation CPU. Next text that will perform is OpenCL on Ryzen 9 laptop versus the other laptop with Core i7 12th generation. And we have the results: 107411 for Ryzen 9 with GeForce 3060 versus 103502 for Core i7 12th generation with GeForce 3060. It's very interesting that in this particular test, Ryzen 9 with GeForce 3060 is actually faster with 3-4% than Core i7 with the same video card GeForce 3060. Next GPU test that will perform is CUDA and will run on both laptops. And we have the results: 113248 for Ryzen 9 with GeForce 3060 versus 108482 on Core i7 12th generation with GeForce 3060. This means an increase of performance with approximate 5% in favor of Ryzen 9 and GeForce 3060, comparing with Core i7 12th generation with the same video card, GeForce 3060. Next GPU test that we will perform is Vulkan test, and we're running on both laptops. And we have the results. We have 81601 for Ryzen 9 and 80407 for Core i7 12th generation. This means approximate 6% in favor of Ryzen 9 and GeForce 3060. The next test that we'll perform is Heaven an Engine, and we will select benchmark for both laptops. We have the results, and the results are quite interesting. So we have for Ryzen 9 147 FPS versus 117 on Core i7 12th generation. This means an increase of performance with approximate 20% in favor of Ryzen 9. Then the score is 3713 for Ryzen 9 versus 2965 for Core i7. This means an increase of performance with approximate 25% in favor of Ryzen 9 and GeForce 3060. Minimum FPS are 5.4 for Ryzen 9 versus 29 on Core i7. And maximum frames per second is 299 for Ryzen 9 versus 241 for Core i7 12th generation. This means an increase for minimum FPS of almost double in favor of Ryzen 9, and for maximum FPS it's an increase of approximate 20-25% in favor of Ryzen 9. This was quite unexpected because in the synthetic test like Geekbench 5, the CPU performance of Core i7 12th generation was supposed to be higher in multi-core comparing with Ryzen 9. But in gaming, the things look different. And as you can see, Ryzen 9 with the same video card as Core i7 on the 12th generation, the performance is higher, or should I say much higher on Ryzen 9 than Core i7 12th generation. So this is very interesting. Other thing to be mentioned here is how loud the fans are kicking on the Core i7 3rd generation laptop comparing with the cool or chill sound emitted by the laptop with Ryzen 9. So big difference here. The fans are kicking in more often on CPU with Core i7 12th generation comparing with the quiet Ryzen 9 laptop. Next test that will perform is GFX Bench Metal. We have the results for the test selected. We have 122 FPS for Ryzen 9 versus 126 for Core i7 12th generation. This means an increase in performance with approximate 4% in favor of Core i7. On the next test, 4K Aztec Greens OpenGD high tier off screen, we have 94 frames per second on Ryzen 9 versus 85 frames per second on Core i7. This means an increase of performance with approximate 10% in favor of Ryzen 9. On card chase, we have 214 frames per second on Ryzen 9 versus 164 frames per second on Core i7. This means an increase of performance with approximate 30% 40% in favor of Ryzen 9. And in 1080 card chase off screen, we have 4 to 9 FPS on Ryzen 9 versus 389 FPS on Core i7. This means an increase of performance with approximate 20% in favor of Ryzen 9. It looks like the performance of Ryzen 9 and GeForce 3060 is higher than the performance of Core i7 12th generation with the same video card, GeForce 3060. Proceed further with performance testing, and we'll run speedometer on both laptops. We have the results. We have 168 for Ryzen 9 comparing with 199 for Core i7 12th generation. This means an increase of performance with approximate 15% in favor of Core i7 12th generation. Let's test the sound on both laptops, and we will start with Asus ROG Zephyrus M16.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love.
What can we say in regards to sound? The sound of Asus ROG Strix G17 is better than the sound on Asus ROG Zephyrus M16. The sound has more clarity, has more bass, and sounds a little bit fuller than on the Asus ROG Zephyrus M16. So in regards to the sound, Asus ROG Strix G17 is better than Asus ROG Zephyrus M16. What are the final thoughts and as a conclusion for this comparison? Both laptops have great screens. The screen on Asus ROG Zephyrus M16 is a little bit sharper and has more brightness than the one on Asus ROG Strix G17. Other than that, both displays are looking great. I have to say and repeat it again, both displays are looking great. In regards to performance, the CPU Core i7 12th generation is in multi-core a little bit faster than Ryzen 9 in pure CPU tests. Other than that, the combination of Ryzen 9 with GeForce 3060 is has more performance than the one provided by Core i7 12th generation with the same video card, GeForce 3060. As we can see in our performance test, the performance that we should expect it to be better is around 5 till 20. Really comes to around 40% in some cases. So the performance provided by Ryzen 9 with GeForce 3060 in gaming, in pure gaming, is actually better than the one provided by Core i7 12th generation with the same video card, GeForce 3060. This was mentioned or appeared also in the synthetic benchmark like Geekbench 5. For me, this is really interesting because I was not expected that Ryzen 9 with this video card to provide much or more better gaming performance than the one with Core i7 3rd generation and GeForce 3060. The sound is better on Asus ROG Strix G17 comparing with Asus ROG Zephyrus M16. The sound is much more fuller. It has more bass, more clarity, and it sounds better than the sound of Asus ROG Zephyrus M16. As a conclusion, both are great gaming laptops. One, and I'm referring here to Asus ROG Strix G17, is mainly for office activities or for home mainly because of its dimensions and its weight. And the other one, Asus ROG Zephyrus M16, could be considered also as a laptop that could be used for traveling purposes, and it is a very good machine in regards to performance, display, and also sound, considering that this is a gaming laptop. I hope that this comparison helps you in deciding which is the best laptop for your needs, and looking forward for you to watch other videos on this channel. Goodbye to all of you and thanks for watching.